Question by the door?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do you like? I'm sorry. Oh, the question was do we get a lot of feedback, like negative feedback, about not sounding like the original Japanese actors cast for the parts? I'm sorry to just I'm answering this one, but I really want to. Here's the thing, and I don't mean it in a bad way. Sometimes when you listen to the Japanese, and I think they're fabulous, they're all wonderful actors, we've met many of them, and they're great people, but a lot of the times, voices will be kind of pigeonholed to represent certain characters. Like there's super duper high, like all of the girls always sound high, and all of the boys, like the pretty ones, all sound like this, and the villains all sound like this, from show to show to show to show to show. And so we try to differentiate a little bit more. So, you know, get a show like, oh, I don't know, a bunch of girls, show like Shuffle or something. Every girl in the Japanese, they all just sound like they're really up here, like this. And there's so many of them, that would make you want to shoot yourself. That, okay? So we change it up. I'm sorry, but we're allowed to.
Cultural differences. Cultural differences.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. And to us, we'd be like, oh my gosh, why is her voice way up there? That is, I'm not going to watch the rest of this show. And while it is my job as a director to tell the story well, it is also to make a show that is going to make money, so they'll let me keep directing. So.
And 9 times out of 10, it's been my experience from hearing vicariously through other people that work at the studios that the Japanese have to approve the director's cast choices. Yeah. So the voices you hear on Cartoon Network or on DVD, chances are the Japanese companies have said, yes, this is what we want the character to sound like in America.
And something else, I mean, I hate to be the one to say this, but you know, just as there are bad American performances, there are bad Japanese performances too, you guys. Come on. I mean, if I spoke Japanese, I'm sure I would hear some performances of, oh my gosh, so over the top, or so flat, or so melodramatic. So there, you know, we make our share of mistakes. Some things aren't perfect. Some things are really good. Some things are, you know, will miss the mark. And they're the same. The Japanese do the same. They do the best they can do with what they have, and they make best choices, and they just go for it and hope that it turns out for the best. But there isn't necessarily one definitive end-all, be-all way to play one role. A lot of different actors could bring a lot of different things to the same role. While they may not be the same thing, they may be unique and special in and of themselves. So, you know, there isn't necessarily, the goal is not to be held to the Japanese standard. It's to be honest and true to the character and play the character to the best of your ability.
Good question. Right here in the orange hat.
Could you each say your favorite quote from either your character, yourself, or another actor? And can I record it on my phone?
You know, that might be something to do something good to do at the autograph session. Let's do that, since we'll want to do it like on your phone and all the people here. So why don't you check for the autograph session?
And there's a question back here, I thought. Yes.
I just want to know if you guys ever have done dubbings where you have to keep a word in Japanese, and what's your take on that?
All the time. It's usually names that are left. Only on occasion. Well, probably you'd know maybe in Bleach or something, that weird Japanese terms.
I was just going to use Bleach as an example. I mean, Wendy busts my butt over Hozukimaru. I swear to heaven, you guys, I'll be recording Ikaku, and I'll be like, Hozukimaru! And she'll go, no, it's Hozukimaru. I just said that. Hozukimaru! No, Hozukimaru. I mean, like, I feel like I'm totally doing it, you know, I'm like, I'm nailing it. But there's such a precision to some of those names and some of the words, and they're very particular because they know that it's just going to get kicked right back to them by the Japanese. If they don't feel like you pronounced it right, then they're just going to kick it back and you have to re-record it. So.
It's really hard because as a director, I like to keep as much in there as possible or as is necessary. Because I feel that part of the reason you guys like anime so much isn't just because the characters are cool and they look neat, but it's this whole other culture that is really exciting to learn about and experience. So I like to keep in words insofar as they can then be described in the scene. I don't want to name some random food and then y'all never get to figure out what the heck it is, you know, or some strange place unless we're going to describe it. But usually we just have to listen to the Japanese track over and over and over again to figure out, okay, they put the emphasis on that syllable and they pronounce this consonant this way, whereas we would pronounce it a different way. Like we might say haruhi, but it's really haruhi, and things like that. So, and it can be tough. There are times where I really second guess myself. I'll have to listen across episodes and how does this character say it? How does that character say it? This sounds different from that. And then I just kind of have to make a decision and hope that the fans aren't going to cream me for it later.
Someone else pick.
Like even Ichigo in Bleach, whenever Ikuku says his name, calls Ichigo, the director's like, it's not Ichigo, it's Ichigo. There's more of an E sound to it than an Ichigo, even though it's an I, you know, so it's so subtle. But, you know, we are attempting to honor the Japanese creators as best we can, so those things are paid a lot of attention to.
Alright, where do you guys for the shows get your translators, like from Japanese to English?
It's me.
You don't
They work for the company. I don't interact with them.
The translator fan.
Yeah, usually, I actually know a little bit about this. They actually have a person that translates it raw, like word for word.
Right.
But the words are kind, you know, they're not proper English. And then they have a writer come in and takes the translations and write it to make it fit the mouth flaps and make sense to an American audience. In broad spectrum American audience. I mean, you know, like people, you may not, like back in the day when rice balls, right? Yeah. Back in the day, I think Dragon Ball Z, they were called donuts or something. I don't know, they were calling it something else. But, you know, things like that so that the broad American audience would understand what they are. So, there you go. My 2 cents.
Well, I was going to say, in addition to the translating to these Japanese words, what do you do when you come across names and they just actors naturally pronounce it different ways? Like, I know like Naruto, like Yuri pronounces it Naruto, but then some people say Naruto. What do you do when you come across things like that?
For me as a director, I would just retake it or tell them how to say the name properly, unless there was a particular reason, which there probably is, in Kyle's case, that he calls him that. Also, Yuri speaks Japanese, so I'm sure it's very easy for him to look at a name and go, oh, this is how you say it. So.
Now, Mary Elizabeth McClellan, who directs the dub for Naruto, said that, well, it's acceptable for Kiba to just kind of hit the R like an American, like Naruto instead of Naruto, because he's more feral, he's more wild, he's not cultured.
That's cool. That's neat, as long as there's a reason for it. But yeah, sometimes other examples. I'm sorry I keep bringing up Oron, but it's what I live in. But you know, most people might look at some of the names, like the 3-syllable names, and maybe they would say Tamaki, but it's really Tamaki. So I have to train everybody, this is how you say it. And they might want to say Hikaru, but it's really Hikaru. All right, you guys are awesome. You're all with me. Okay. So it's just a matter of training the actor, and they're used to it. They don't get mad when I stop and say, no, it's actually this. Oh, okay. This part I get mad.
I have so much trouble with the Japanese.
It's hard.
A bunch. The show I'm doing right now has all kinds of Japanese names in it. And it's having to be trained.